Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Thursday morning the 9th of October and we are going to Nova Scotia again today to the case of missing siblings 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan from Lansdowne Station. They were reported missing at 10:01 a.m. on the 2nd of May by their mother Malaya Brooks-Merry, and apart from some boot prints that may or may not be Lily's and a blanket that may or may not have been planted, there has been absolutely no sign of Lily and Jack. That is despite a lot of searches. The first 5 days, it was all out. The search was really strong. May the 7th, there was a press conference saying that they believe that Lily and Jack were no longer alive in the woods. This was a recovery rather than a rescue now. Therefore, they were toning down the search and they were going to follow other investigative leads. Up to that point, they said they believe Lily and Jack were lost in the woods. May 8th and 9th, they cleared Lansdowne Lake, which is right here, so not too far away from their home, which is here, and 3 ponds. So I'm assuming it's these 3 ponds. There was one that they couldn't get into. There's one pond there. There's quite a few ponds around here. But there was one they couldn't get into because it was, I think, too swampy. I think they came back and cleared that at another time, possibly. I think I read that in the documents. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and check. Anyhow, apart from 2 other weekend searches with between 70 and 100 volunteers searching mainly this pipeline here where the boot prints were found, there has been nothing until a couple of weeks ago when it was announced by the RCMP that cadaver dogs were going to be brought in all the way from British Columbia, all the way over on the west, because there's so few cadaver dogs in Canada. And we've had this conversation again and again and again. I'm not going to reopen that this morning, but you can go back and check my recent videos about my opinions on that. We've now got an update from RCMP and it's really disappointing. I think this is the most disappointing update we've had so far. You may think I'm being hyperbolic when I say that, but I really am disappointed. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why. Let's go. Before we get into that, can I just ask, if you're not yet subscribed, please do so. Trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and with your help I can do it. There's still a lot of people who watch my videos regularly who are not subscribed. I don't know why. It's completely free. Not like memberships where you got to pay. It's completely free. So help me get the silver play button plaque that YouTube will send me when I get to 100,000 subscribers. Okay, without further ado, the news channels that have been following this case since the beginning all did updates yesterday after yesterday morning's RCMP news briefing. It was CBC though that got an interview with this guy who is the lead investigator of the Major Crimes Unit. He is insisting that this is a missing persons case and not a criminal investigation. They found no signs of a crime at all. Major crimes are involved because they've got extra resources that other departments don't have. So where you get a missing persons case like this one that isn't resolved quickly, then major crimes do get involved, and they obviously investigate the possibility that there could have been a crime like foul play, like Jack and Lily have been murdered or hidden or something, or they've been abducted either by someone they know or someone they don't know, but they've not found any signs of any criminal involvement. Despite all the red flags that we see, and there are plenty, the cops have found no signs of a crime. So where are Lily and Jack then? We've got to assume that they're in the woods. Because if they've not been abducted, they've not been murdered, well, what's the alternative? The wandering off theory is the only alternative apart from being beamed up by aliens, but I think that's probably slightly less likely than them being lost in the woods. So I was really disappointed.
Why were you disappointed, Michelle?
Well, I was disappointed for 2 reasons.
What are those 2 reasons, Michelle?
Well, first, they only did 3 days. I was under the impression, and this is just my assumption, so it's probably my own fault that I'm disappointed, but they only did 3 days. What? Now, they say that they cleared 40 kilometres, which is about 25 miles. Now, it doesn't mean to say that they've gone 25 miles in any direction, or 5 miles in that direction, and 5 miles in that, 5 miles in that, 5 miles in that, 5 miles. No, I'm assuming that that's not what they're saying here, because they have said that they have cleared the property. They've done the area where the blanket was found. So Janie and Daniel say that this is the area where the blanket was found. And they've cleared sections of this pipeline trail where the boot prints were found. And that's it. So 25 miles sounds like a lot. But here's the thing. There's 2 dogs. So you have to assume that 25 miles in total, that's 12.5 miles per dog over 3 days. But is that 12.5 miles per dog the distance the handler went, or the distance the dog went? If you watch Cassie when she's hunting, when she's searching, and also when you watch little Ella as well, who's just learning the ropes here, they're zigzagging all over the place. Even when Cassie's on a long line, just going for a general walk, she zigzags. I don't make her walk to heel. Like Noodle and Tilly walk by my side. Noodle's a little bit of a zigzagger, but they just walk by my side. So they're probably not walking very much further than I'm walking. Let me just check. I went out for a walk that lasted about 15 minutes this morning. Just wandering about in my neighbourhood because Tilly's got an injured foot. She's had an abscess. And it's clearing up. She's fine. She's anti-inflammatories, clearing up, but I don't want to take her for long walks. So I just took her round the block. And how far did I walk? Let me just have a look. Not very far. I walked 0.65 miles. That was my journey. And that's probably about the same as Tilly's journey, because she's walking by my side the whole time. Noodle might have walked a little bit further, due to his zigzagging and stopping sniffing and walking in circles and stuff like that. But Cassie, who was on a long line, I did let the long line go a little bit, but she's all over the place, right? She's a spaniel. She's just doing spanieling. That's what spaniels do. And when they're hunting, they're literally zigzagging. It's called quartering. You might say, yeah, but Michelle, the 2 dogs that did the searching here were not spaniels. They were, I believe, German shepherds. But the search strategy is the thing that we need to look at. Because if it's 12.5 miles per dog, and that's 12.5 miles that the handler has walked over 3 days, dogs covered a lot more ground than 12.5 miles. However, if they had trackers on the dogs, and that's the dog's distance, 12.5 miles over 3 days, given that they zigzag and they're quartering and the this and the that and the backwards and forwards, it's really not that far. I'd like to work out how far Cassie actually goes, like when she's searching for something or when she's just going for a general walk. Is it, what, twice, 3 times, 4 times further than I walk? Maybe. So I'm assuming that the dogs were on long lines. Some dogs, when they're doing searching, they're always on a long line. Sometimes they free roam. It depends on the dog, it depends on the search strategy, and it depends on the environment. But as they're relatively close to roads, I'm going to guess that these dogs were on long lines. But still, even if they were on long lines, they're going to be backwards and forwards and this and that. And also the search strategy, because we know that each dog did the property. Right, they brought one dog in, searched the entire property, that's 2 acres, and then they brought the other dog to do the same, right, and they went all over the place. And again, if you're thinking about a dog zigzagging all over the place, if that 12.5 miles was the dog's distance, then just searching a 2-acre property is going to get up there. And then when they're out searching the blanket area and the boot prints area, they're not just going one direction. Like, depending on the strategy, depending on the wind, will determine in part what strategy they use as to whether they go backwards and, like, the handler walks backwards and forwards, or they move out into certain areas and then come back. And each dog will clear each area. So when they say that they've walked 12.5 miles per dog, it's actually not that far when you think about it over 3 days. Even if that's the handler's distance, it's really not that far. So I'm really disappointed that it seems that they only stuck to these familiar areas. It's great that they've cleared the property, fine. But the blanket area, we don't even know whether Lilly and Jack deposited that blanket. It was up in a tree. We don't know whether that blanket was planted or whether that blanket got there some other way. Like, I don't know, an animal was raiding the garbage and it got tangled up in the blanket and then finally it came off, or I don't know how it would have got there, right, if it hadn't have been planted. But the fact that it's in a tree, how's Lilly and Jack got it up there? What, thrown it up there, maybe? And then the boot prints. The boot prints. Now, Janie was in DT's chat last night, and she said that there was 2 other kids searching on that day that the boot prints were found. Now, the boot prints were found kind of the night of May the 2nd into May the 3rd. In the court documents, they did determine, they did a little bit of policing here, they did determine that one set of boot prints was the same size as Lily's. They worked that out from Malaya's purchase back in March of Lily's boots. Therefore, you could say, well, you know, it's the same size boot as Lily's. It could be Lilly. It could well be Lilly. However, those are the 2 kids who were there. What I'd like to know is, did the RCMP rule out those 2 kids? And they couldn't be able to rule them out 100%, but how old were these kids? What footwear were they wearing? Now, if one of those kids happened to have the same size boots as Lilly, you know, the same style, the same size, it would leave the same tread. Well, it could be that kid's. So, have they gone to the adult that was in charge of those kids? Have they checked the boot prints from the footwear that those kids were wearing? And have they determined whether they were the same size or not? I'm hoping that they've done that to at least rule out, because if these kids weren't wearing the same size boots as Lilly, or were wearing completely different footwear that would leave a different tread, then it adds a little bit more credence to the possibility that these boot prints actually were Lily's. And you would also assume that Jack's with her as well. Have they done that? I don't know. But no sign of human remains at all in these locations. But only checking these locations because we don't know whether this blanket was a sign that Lilly and Jack were there, or the boot prints even are a sign that Lilly and Jack were there. We've got no idea where else they would have gone. And if they'd been missing for longer than the 20 minutes that Daniel and Malaya said, well, that's hindered the investigation. Because the search strategy, like if they'd been gone an hour, they've had way more chance to walk outside of the search area. This is the basic search area that they did in the first few days. Now, it doesn't mean to say that, you know, the home was the centre and they went the same distance all the way around. I think they probably, like the circle probably should have been kind of more over here because of these boot prints, and they're just obsessed with this. But how far out have they gone? Because it could well be that Lilly and Jack carried on walking, and they went down here or up here or along here. So what I would like to see in the next round of searches, if there is going to be any, is looking at all the hazards. So not just going along the pipeline, because, right, if Lilly and Jack just carried on walking, well, at some point they died, because they're not still walking, are they, 5 months later? At some point they died. So you've got to ask the question, how did they die? Are they going to die of exposure? Are they going to die of starvation? Probably not. Well, eventually, yeah, but things are going to kill them sooner. Were they attacked by animals? And yeah, if they were attacked by animals close to home, you would have heard it. You'd heard them screaming. There would be evidence of it. But did they manage to walk ways over here and then get attacked by an animal and died? Are there old mines? Are there old wells? Are there caves that could have collapsed on them? Is there water in any of these areas? Water down here? You need to be looking for hazards, but further out. You got to think about the possibilities of how Lilly and Jack died. That's where I would go next. I'd get a map way further out than this, but of all the possible hazards. I said this at the time, bringing cadaver dogs in 5 months down the line, it's too late. It's too late. After 5 months, if they died on, let's say, May the 3rd, and they're out there in the woods somewhere, there ain't going to be much left, I'm afraid. They brought cadaver dogs in the week that the search ended. Okay, Lilly and Jack are going to be dead. The decomp will have started. You'd have much more chance of finding them. But now, the remains could have been scattered by animals. Almost impossible. So, I think the RCMP have cocked up. Really seriously cocked up. That's assuming that Lilly and Jack are in the woods.
Now, Michelle, what's the second reason why you're disappointed?
Well, I'm disappointed in the fact that they only did 3 days. But I'm disappointed in the fact that it's taken RCMP so long to tell us. So they did 3 days. Well, we know what day they started, so we should have had an update over a week ago. But this is what this dude says to, I don't know her name, from CBC.
It's been at least a week since the dog handlers were on site. Why is there a lag in informing the public of what they didn't find?
Well, I'm not sure about the lag. We put our information together. We wanted to make sure that we provide accurate information to the public.
You didn't find anything. So you could say you didn't find anything on that last day when the dogs ended the search. We didn't find anything. Why do you need to wait over a week to make sure you're accurate?
And both that and some availability for me to be able to come and talk to the public. We wanted to make.
All right, so he's been busy. His availability. Well, someone else could have done and done the briefing. Why not get the dog handlers to come and do a briefing? Like the dog handlers did a Zoom thing or a Microsoft Teams thing before they started, like about their dogs. Well, why not come back and do a little update? Why not do a press conference?
Make sure that I had that availability. So there was some delays about that. And we didn't have immediate information that we felt was going to change or collect evidence for us or change the direction of the investigation. So we felt we should maintain an organizational approach to this and make sure that we're prepared to provide the information we have and set up these QAs. So that's a bit of the delay.
All right. Well, that sounds like word salad to me. But I'm not impressed by this guy. He doesn't seem to know that much either. If you listen to all of this, like nearly 12 minutes, he's umming and ahhing the whole time. He doesn't fill me with confidence. I mean, he might be a really nice guy. He might be a really good cop in other ways, but I didn't like this interview at all. Now, Daniel has also been interviewed by CBC. I'd like to see the whole interview with Daniel rather than these clips that they do, but this is what we've got. Maybe they'll release the whole interview, who knows, but this is what we've got, so I'm going to play this 2.5 minutes.
5 months after Jack and Lilly Sullivan vanished, their stepfather Daniel Martel says he continues to search for answers and cooperate with police. That included when cadaver dogs recently came to his property.
I come home and the dogs were already, on scene, and they were there for about an hour before I got there. I didn't know the exact day when the arrival was going to happen. So it was even a surprise to me, but at the end of the day, everything's ruled out there, and I hope this speculation, turns elsewhere.
Yeah, well, I never believed that Lilly and Jack were on the property. I don't think if Lilly and Jack had been murdered or they died accidentally because they got into drugs or something like that and they didn't call 911 for whatever reason, given how expansive those woods are, you're not going to bury the kids on your property, are you? I don't believe these people are criminal masterminds, but you'd have to be really, really stupid to do that. But again, if Lilly and Jack had died on the property and been dead a few hours, if they brought cadaver dogs in early doors, they might have had chance of detecting some odour, not 5 months later.
Trained to detect human remains were brought in from British Columbia the week of September 22nd. They spent about 3 days searching a total of 40 kilometers for evidence of the 2 missing children.
They didn't locate any human remains or anything associated to this file or any open files.
Staff Sergeant Rob McCammon is the officer in charge of major crime and behavioral sciences in Nova Scotia. He says the dogs scoured the Lansdowne property where the siblings lived. They also sniffed the woods where a pink blanket was previously found and a nearby pipeline and intersecting trails. He wouldn't confirm whether people were questioned during the latest search, but Martel tells CBC one of the RCMP dog handlers had tough questions for him about the day before the children disappeared.
He said that Thursday didn't have enough details, and we think you did something to the kids Thursday night. And I said to him that Thursday was just an ordinary day until they woke up on Friday morning. And that's when, life changed.
I actually believe him on that. I don't think the kids died on Thursday night. I think whatever happened on Friday morning.
Cadaver dogs searched inside his trailer and police even looked under his deck. McCammon says his team is prepared to keep working on this case until it's solved.
This is not something that we stop working on. We've got 2 young children, Lilly and Jack, who've gone missing from their home, and it is a Missing Persons Act investigation still at this time. But we need to find answers to that. There's a lot of legitimate public concerns about how 2 children go missing and we can't find them, so we're going to continue until we have answers.
He says bringing dogs back to these woods again could be a possibility if new information suggests they missed something. Angela McIver, CBC News, Lansdowne.
Well, could they have missed something? Yeah, sure. I would think, though, given the amount of searching that has been done, especially on that pipeline, that Lilly and Jack maybe aren't there. So my strategy would be getting a map with all the hazards that they can find on it and going hazard by hazard. That's the only way I could think, if they truly believe Lilly and Jack died in those woods, to go forward. But I'm really disappointed. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.